Why most edits go wrong at the start is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 15 minutes or less, starting now. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Now, today's topic actually was inspired because of my new friend, Bob. He's 94 years old. He's been doing photography longer than I've been alive. So he's 94 years old. He's doing a lot of bird photography. And he asked a critical question: where do I start? Where do I start my edits? And I just let him flow. I just let him do it on his own because I wanted to see where he was heading. And that's what made me realize a lot of edits fail right at the very start because they're not doing the order of operation. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here we are, and I'll use one of the bird photos I took with Angie Birmingham and the sharpshooter program. Now, here's the thing. Because this is a raw file, then honestly, I really can't mess it up. Because with a raw file like this, okay, one moment, I hit the wrong button. Just 1 second, sorry about that. I felt that was off. All right, here we are. All right, so with this, I took this with Angie Birmingham, and I noticed something that when I photographed it, I'm not a bird photographer. I didn't like how I just centered it. I was just happy I got the stinking bird where it was supposed to be. So yeah, I know I have to crop this, all right? So here's the thing. Because it's a raw file, it's more forgiving. So if I don't stick to orders of operation, so here we are with the edits. Look at this. Notice develop raw and noiseless AI are always at the bottom of the edits because that's the base. It's a raw file. Those are the two base. So if I don't start there, I can always go back. However, what we want to do is have proper habits. So I want to start here. So I'm going to go back to my tools. I do want to start with either develop raw or enhance AI. Either one of these. All right, let's just go to enhance AI for a moment. So I did here and I didn't like it. It was good, but I didn't like what it's doing with the bird. No problem. I do want to start. Now notice my develop changed from develop raw just to develop. And that's because I applied this. Well, I'm going to get rid of that. Now I'm back to, let me get back to it here. Now I'm back to my develop raw. I am going to go with the auto adjustment just to get things rolling. All right, now I'm looking at it and I definitely don't like the darkness. I don't like the way it's looking. That's okay. Now I notice because of the shadows. Well, I'm going to bump the shadows up. I'll keep the highlights in check. And you know what? I really don't want to mess with that exposure. I'm going to leave that alone. However, I do want to adjust the tone of the image because that's going to help me with the overall contrast. Even though smart contrast helps, I like to manually use the tones, the black tones and the white tones. There we go. All right, so let's look at the difference. That's what we started with, and here we are now. Now, I do know I had to shoot this at a very high ISO because it was early in the morning. So I do want to come back in, and at this point, let me go right up in here. I do want to adjust the noiseless. All right, so I want to adjust my noise. I am going to take the suggestion and go middle. Oh, look at that. You know what? I'm even going to a little bit higher. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, and if you look, well, let's look really close so we can see the difference. Here it is. I knew there's going to be a lot of noise in this image. That's what we got. Now, I'm going to look closer. Yeah, look at this. Look at these dead pixels. Here's one here. And let's see. There was another one I saw somewhere. Yeah, right down in here. So there was one there. And I know I saw one earlier. But that's going to be the most... Oh, right here. There it is. See it? Right there. So here's these two pixels that are really gonna annoy me. And if I start going into my edits, that's gonna keep on just making it worse all the way through. So I looked at it and said, okay, at this point, I am going to use erase. Well, why? Because at this point, I don't want to keep adding to those areas. I don't want to keep messing that part up. So I'll click on it here, here, and then like if I had more time, I'm going to look through the rest of the image just to make sure. Now, yes, that is an issue because I did shoot high. I photographed it with a Z6 II camera, which is not really meant, it's meant for portraits. It's not meant for this stuff. So yeah, that's a flaw in the camera itself. No problem. We fixed it. Now we have it set. Here's my next choice. How do I want to crop this? Well, can I crop at the very end? Yes. Now, if I'm going to add textures or anything to this image, then I will crop at the end. But for now, I am going to crop it because I just want to see what the heck I'm dealing with. I'm going to come in here. There we go. Now I got rid of all my distractions. All right. There. I like how that's looking. Let's go before and after. Here's what we originally started with. Here's this. But I am losing some of the highlight or some of the shadows in the bird. This is where we start to get creative. Well, I'm going to come in and I do want to bump up the shadows. I'll go to an extreme so you can see what I'm talking about. Look how the bird is finally coming to life. Everything, and actually the rest of it doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to go in here for a moment. And actually, I'm going to keep it like this. I am going to add another instance of develop. Notice when I click on it, I close it and open it up again. It's set back to the defaults. Under edits, this is your history. So just think of edits as history. There it is. It's right there. Well, I'm going to come back to it. And I do want to bump up the shadows a little bit more again, but I only want it on the bird. So I am going to use the brush tool, paint the effect, and just come into the bird itself. There we go. That's there. Now I'm getting it. And I'll deal with the darkening the rest of this in a moment. But I like where it's heading. Let's see if structure is going to help or if detail will. So I'm going to boost. I'm going to an extreme so you can see it. I definitely don't want it like that on the entire image, but I'm looking at the bird. So the bird is my main focus right now. And notice Structure AI did a good job. Let's see. Yeah, okay, it did a better job than I saw earlier. But if I did details, I have a little more control. Look at this. Look, and again, just look at the bird. I have a little more control over where that goes on the bird. I'm going way overboard just to show you, but I'm not going to do that for now. I'll stick with the Structure AI, but with the Structure AI, I do want a mask, and I just want to do the bird. Here, I don't want it to mess with the rest of the image. All right, let's back out of it so we can see it now. All right, good. Now it's taken shape. We started here, here, but now we want to draw attention to just that bird. So let's do our vignette. And I'm going to darken around it. There we go. Now I'm drawing the eye where I want it, right to that bird. Let's take it a step further. Enhance AI. It's always been one of my best friends. Let's see what it's going to do. Yeah, I'm going to do this with it, but once again, I'm doing local changes. Let's use a radial gradient and just do it on the bird. Nowhere else. Let's see if it makes a difference. Look how it's just a subtle difference, and I'm noticing a little highlights on the bird itself. Let's bring that down a little. Right about there. All right. And again, to me, this was already a damaged photo. And what I mean by damage, I didn't photograph it the way it should, so I'm doing a little repair time here. All right, so that's great. Now that I have it set, and yes, you can go in and do all the, getting rid of some of these little twigs here. That's entirely up to you. But this is what I wanted to show you. Why is orders of operation important? Well, now, let's say my buddy Phil says, Vanelli, that looks really good, but you've been doing a lot of stuff with Carly's textures. Throw a texture on that. Let's see what the texture will do to it. All right, so I throw a texture on it, and let's just I'll go to soft light. Now, I'm going to go to an extreme just so I can make my point. Your structure, let's just go crazy with it. All right, so there it is. So there's the texture. I applied it. Now, watch this. If I look at this, and Phil says to me, oh, that looks good. Well, again, if we adjust the texture, that looks great, but you know what? That crop, yeah, I don't like that crop. Do me a favor, change it. I want to see more of the area around it. So I listen to him. We do one of these things. You can see where this is going to head, right? Now that I did that, oh, look. In fact, let's enhance it more so you can see. Look at that. Let's see what it just did. It took that texture that I created, and it's only applying it where that crop area was. So this is where orders of operation comes in. Now, this is a quick fix because, again, everything we're doing up to this point is non-destructive. I could just click on the layer and say, yeah, you know what? Let's fill it, or let's stretch it. Now it's back to normal, and let's get rid of that ugly develop. And then, yeah, the structure I went a little crazy on. Well, we'll get rid of the structure in a moment too. Let's bring it back down to here. There we go. All right. Before, and then, oh, let me get rid of that. There we are. There we are. So before, after. All right. So the point I was getting at here, why I wanted to show you that, is you sit back and you start to think, how do I want the end result to be? Sometimes you just want to get creative. And if you're going to get creative, then right-click, create a virtual copy. Now, everything I did into that point earlier is untouched. I'm not going to mess with that. So I can do all those changes on the bird what did I just say? I'm so sorry. The virtual copy. So I can do all those changes on my virtual copy and not worry about any of the stuff I did on the original. So that's one way of experimenting. So the point I'm getting at here is learn to look at your image first. What don't you like about it? Or better yet, what do you like about it? I like where the bird is. I like cropping it in tight. I like the fact that it stands out from the background. So those are the things I look at. Great, I like that. Now how can I proceed with my edits? And like I said, if you go down the wrong path in the very beginning, if I didn't erase those little dots, it's going to keep building and building and building to where it's going to cause damage to the image. And then you have to go all the way back through your edits to find out, well, what made that dot look as bad as it did? Oh, it was in the very beginning. You erase it there, and then you're back on track again. So those are things I hope that can help you is, number one, think what you want the end to be. How do I want this to be? If you're unsure, that's okay. Create a virtual copy. Experiment to your heart's content. Then go back to the original and say, okay, this is what worked. This is what didn't work. And then you move on. But again, develop raw, noiseless AI. Those are the two staples that are always going to be there. And then you can decide where you want to go with your edits from there. All right? So I hope that helps. And again, when I showed this to Bob, he was so excited because now he knows where to begin. Now he's not just pushing sliders back and forth, hoping something is going to look good. Make sure you try this on your next edit. All right? So if you're here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you
Mr.
in the next
Vanelli,
coffee break. Oh, yes,
is that one of the edits from your practical edits?
Good. So I told Dale during the live show, if I forgot to tell you about practical edits, to interrupt me. So Dale, thank you. And no, this was not a test. I really did forget, Dale. So thank you. All right, so Dale and Carl, they're technically our co-hosts and producers, making sure that I stay on task. Thank you. Now I'm looking at the monitor right now. They're giving me the look like, oh, Vanelli. All right, so there we are, Luminar. I started a new practical edits for you, and right now there's 10 of them. So because of Coffee Break, some of the people were asking me, well, Vanelli, I like to binge watch all of them at once. Instead of releasing them once a week, could we just have all of them at once? So here are the first 10 that I came up with, and I'll come up with another set of 10, and we'll binge watch those. If you have suggestions, if you want to see a practical edit, just something, Vanelli, I'm really struggling with this, throw me an email, vanelli@skylum.com, vanelli@skylum.com, and I'll include it into the practical edits. Carl and Dave, thank you so much. Sorry to get your blood pressures up on that one. All right. So, everyone, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.